sessions for your enjoyment. So that's it. Send us your new versions of Pass the Beat number 4. Very interested in seeing what y'all come up with. Have a good one.
Si le ciel tombe, que la mer monte, ça ne sera que justice. Y'a qu'on aurait dans les actions, frère, l'être humain n'est que caprice.
Welcome to Pass the Beat number 4, this time with David Osei. And we've also got Harvey Drums. As usual, add your own flavor to it. Post your video online and tag Urban Science. Use the hashtag #PassTheBeat. Also, we've been putting a list of recommendations on the Google Drive of different software to use as to tutorials and all this kind of thing. And if you have any other software suggestions, please do send us so we can share this with other people. We've also started an artist interview series that's going to take place every single Thursday and feature members of Urban Science. Find them live on Facebook as well as on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, we have been updating archive, and you can find many old Cypher sessions for your enjoyment. So that's it. Send us your new versions of Pass the Beat number 4. Very interested in seeing what y'all come up with. Have a good one.
Que l'on boit, si le ciel tombe, que la mer monte, ça ne sera que justice. Y'a qu'on aurait dans les actions, frère, l'être humain n'est que caprice.
Welcome to Pass the Beat number 4, this time with David Osei. And we've also got Harvey Drums. As usual, add your own flavor to it. Post your video online and tag Urban Science. Use the hashtag #PassTheBeat. Also, we've been putting a list of recommendations on the Google Drive of different software to use, as well as some links to tutorials and all this kind of thing. And if you have any other software suggestions, please do send us so we can share this with other people. We've also started an artist interview series that's going to take place every single Thursday and feature members of Urban Science. Find them live on Facebook as well as on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, we have been updating archive, and you can find many old Cypher sessions for your enjoyment. So that's it. Send us your new versions of Pass the Beat number 4. Very interested in seeing what y'all come up with. Have a good one.
Dans tous les liquides que l'on boit, si le ciel tombe, que la mer monte, ça ne sera que justice. Y'a qu'on aurait dans les actions, frère, l'être humain n'est que caprice.
Baby, baby, when
Welcome to Pass the Beat number 4, this time with David Osei. And we've also got Harvey Drums. As usual, add your own flavor to it. Post your video online and tag. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our 11th edition of our workshop interview series, hashtag the process. As always, I want to thank everybody who's donated so far. There is a link for donations just below, as well as our new merch store. So if you've been dying for some urban science stuff, please consider a donation. And we've also been updating our YouTube channel with lots of archived Cypher sessions. So while we're still in confinement, you can check out a little something and relive those wonderful days. I think it might be quite a while before those days come back. But anyway, we do like these interviews to be interactive. So please feel free to throw a question below. Our guest tonight is Shem. We're going to get into all kinds of stuff with Shem. So I'll do a quick little intro for Shem. If you don't know, he is obviously an MC and vocalist with Urban Science, but he's also a beat maker. He may also be the record holder for most consecutive ciphers attended in a row. He might be. We're not sure, actually, but he might be. He's also the host of The Grove. If you don't know The Grove, Wednesday night jam session, which will hopefully be coming back soon. Band leader for The Many, performer with many different groups out there, Community, amongst others. He's also working in the healthcare sector. Maybe we're going to talk about that a little bit, the current situation, keeping us safe during these crazy times. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, make some noise for Shem G! And for some reason, I don't have your video. Oh, God damn it. Okay. Oh, no, we're back. We're back. We have his video. Okay. There's a little technical issue, but we're back. Shem, nice to have you, sir.
Bandwidth. You know what it goes. You know how it goes.
It could be.
Hello,
it could
everyone.
be.
I'm Shem.
This is the man, Shem G.
AKA Ramses. AKA Yonf. We'll talk
Yonf.
about all
I didn't find
many
Yonf.
people
What's
in my
Yonf?
head. Oh, yo, Yanef is yeah.
Sorry, you just broke up.
Is
I
it
can't.
Still choppy. How we doing?
Yeah, can you say that again? I would just ask you Yonf, and then I didn't hear.
Yeah, Yanef is coming. We'll talk about it. We'll see. The connection seems good on my side so far.
So let's see. Where am I going to start with? I would like to ask you a very basic question. Start things off, I think. So my question is, Marvel or DC?
DC. Actually, none. And like Image Comics and Dark Horse, and then independent comic makers, but DC.
Going into that
but
stuff.
DC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, DC. Well,
like
I don't know
if
if
I
you
have to pick gun to my head, no question, DC.
Okay, because you're clearly repping. I don't know if you see on the screen share. Yes, this is 6 months ago. This is what Shem looked like, 6 months ago.
2013 Comic-Con? 2013 Comic-Con, I think that is. Wow.
There's several photos of you with different cosplayers.
Yeah, there's a whole album, I think. A couple on Facebook, actually. If you're a friend of mine on Facebook.
You can find this. So from 2013.
Yeah, man, I was a big fan.
Go for it.
Go ahead.
This
isn't hidden. I'm a big fan of Comic-Con. I used to go every year up until they changed the date. It used to be every September, and then they changed it to July or something like that. And then I was like, oh, man, Jazz Fest is around the same time.
Right.
Life.
Right.
You know, so I think like I missed it, and then like COVID as well now this year. So like, you know,
even more complicated.
I haven't seen my Comic-Con people in a long time. Right?
Yeah, I feel you. Everything's on pause. So you said this was 2015-ish, and from 2015 to I think 2020, still repping Batman. Uh-oh, did we lose Shem? Shem, are you there? Oh man. Bandwidth issues.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Shem's back. I can hear him. Shem, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It chopped out for a second.
Okay.
I wonder why. We were just doing this at soundcheck and it was working fine.
It's the internet. Things go crazy. So I was just saying, from 2015 to 2020, still repping Batman all the time. And of course, there's more than just Batman. There is Captain America. There is Green Lantern. I'm not sure what this button is over here, but
I love that picture. I love that picture. Shout out to my homie James, man. Breaking Bad, yo. Shout out Heisenberg. Shout out The Color Blue. Yeah, shout out Bryan Cranston. All of that, yo. Love that picture. My friend gave me that as a gift, and that was my actual initial reaction.
I believe it. It looks very real to me. It doesn't look staged at all.
And yeah, the red button is Spider-Man between Batman and Captain America.
Okay, yeah, you're right. You can see it.
I believe.
Yeah.
What's sad actually is that that Batman bag it's actually a Batman backpack that all those pins were on.
I see.
And the backpack definitely ripped up.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It just there's some bandwidth issues, but anyway. So I'm kind of curious.
I got full bars. What's going on?
I don't know. Stuff happens. Stuff happens. But so I'm kind of curious. So you're definitely a DC guy. What about movie-wise? Are you still on the DC camp?
I'm only a fan of movies, but the animated movies, to be completely honest. Like I usually find that live action doesn't do it justice. Like don't get me wrong. Like I really like I don't watch movies in general. Like I do love animated movies and just animation in general. But like I watched a lot of the Marvel movies and I watched Justice League, Batfleck and all that. And like it's cool, but it's not I've no I'm not into any like rants about it on the internet most of the time or ever. But amongst conversations with friends, I'll definitely be like, "Yo, but Batman, always Batman."
So, what's your favorite rendition on the screen of Batman? Because there have been so many different iterations.
So there's definitely like I think it's like 2012, I think, or maybe it's 2004, but it's just like early cartoon Batman. I didn't watch all of it, but I remember growing up like watching it as a kid. It's like just an animated Batman series. It was playing on YTV at the time. I wish I remember like who directed it or who animated it. I actually watched a YouTube video recently about how underrated it was, and I was like, wow, it's true, that one was really tight. But otherwise, the recent run of like DC animated movies, like there's been a whole arc from like how the Justice League started to all the way to fights with Darkseid and stuff. It's good stuff. That's like really what I dug. Otherwise, Young Justice, great show, also underrated and underwatched.
Okay, I'm really not familiar with the animated movies and series at all. I know obviously the movies like the Tim Burton Batman and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know the animated stuff. But that's a whole other.
You can never forget about the Bat Shark repellent with Batfleck. You can never forget about that.
So that stuff.
Sorry, Adam West.
That's way back. That was. I mean, it wasn't new episodes weren't being created, but that was on the air when I was a kid. I don't know if that's still on the air for you as a kid. It was in syndication forever, I think. But that was a whole other version.
Definitely not. Maybe on like it was actually it was on TV, but only on this thing that started when I was like maybe 8 through 13.
Right.
Teletoon Retro. It would play a whole bunch of like just like old like Bugs Bunny and like that and Scooby.
Actually, in fact, if you could, if anybody's watching right now, can you please just drop us a comment, let us know what it sounds like, and if you can't hear or whatnot, please let us know, because I'm trying to host this interview and also deal with technical issues at the same time. So then my next kind of follow-up question is, in terms of the comics, what do you have a favorite storyline? Because I know that you've read, let's see, Year One, The Killing Joke, Hush, Dark Knight Returns, Long Halloween, Noel, The Court of Owls. I found a few little things.
Hey, you went through my Goodreads.
So tell me, what is your
okay,
favorite?
I see you. Okay, damn, I haven't I haven't updated it in a minute too.
There may be more
I'm
things.
actually up to date with like the current like DC Batman almost like exclusively. I don't really read much else but Batman and DC right now. Like I'm actually rereading The Boys currently in terms of comics. And shout out Brian Lee O'Malley with Snot Girl. More DC stuff. But that being said, man, I'm reading a whole lot of comics. I love that stuff. Yeah, but I gotta say that's a lot of good stories. I have a lot of bad memories with Batman comics, especially like what you're pulling up right now on screen. Like no diss to the artist at all, but like there's just like really one specific aspect of that run of Batman. Like, okay. I'm not gonna hate on that too long, but there's this whole thing that I hated on where like they tried to flip it where that the whole Batman will go through 4 kicks in 5 life.
Sorry,
but
can you
did scroll down past one called one.
I'm sorry. What did you? I unfortunately I lost that. You were getting very enthusiastic, and then I couldn't hear you.
Oh, good. Yeah. So I was hating. I don't know. Is it back? Let's see.
I can hear you okay now.
Okay, cool. I was hating on the New 52 Batman run where they tried to compress everything into 5 years, which didn't make any sense. I was just like, you can't go through all these sidekicks in 5 years, like die and come back to life and all that. And you scroll down past. I was hating on the New 52 Batman run where they tried to compress everything into 5 years, which didn't make any sense. I was just like, you can't go through all these sidekicks in 5 years, like die and come back to life and all that. And you scroll down past one called Batman Earth 1, which is kind of like just a different like flip of the story, which is really, really fun if you want like a different perspective on Batman, which I always think is interesting. Then otherwise, Hush is a classic. They're all like all the ones there that I like. I just, you know, I'm biased. I'm automatically gonna say, well, Batman killed the game, you know. Like, yeah, I've got rubs though. Still, not every one of them is like mind blowing or life changing. Killing Joke is a classic. Year One, I remember reading it in high school and like ignoring my French teacher. Shout out to all my teachers in high school.
I think, I mean, I'm not nearly as familiar with the Batman stories as you are, but Killing Joke for me is just such a phenomenally good. I'm also, I mean, who isn't an Alan Moore fan? But you know, it's an incredible story, you know.
And yeah, they made speaking of the whole like animated movie series, they made a rendition of The Killing Joke, which is really weird too, but you should check it out if you haven't.
An animated version?
Yeah, it's good.
I'm kind of afraid to check that out because like I could see like a
you should be. You really should be.
Because you know, obviously American animation tends to be geared for an all ages audience, and it's not an all ages story at all. And I could see like a Japanese animation version of it or something, you know what I mean? Because there's a history of, you know, adult.
But yeah, the run I'm talking about isn't geared towards children.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I'll have to add that to my ever-growing list of things to check out. But interesting.
Definitely. I feel you on that.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna switch directions a little bit because you did mention that you started reading this stuff in high school. So I figured we could go back to your high school years. Could you tell me a little bit about what we're looking at here?
I knew it. Oh, this is so terrifying. Shout out to all my friends Shout out to the baritone saxophone. That's a Sec 1. I think it's our first concert in Harmonie, Curie Antoine Labelle. Yeah, I was playing Barry sax for 5 years. I was letting my hair grow out like I am now, and it's a whole repeat. Look at that. Beautiful.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Shem recently is now the owner of a baby Barry sax. And he's going to be stealing Patrice Lino's job in the brass band, you know.
All your gigs are mine.
So you started high school band. What high school was this actually?
Sorry, I missed that question.
I said what high school was this? Hello?
Curie Antoine Labelle in
Okay,
Laval.
right.
Curie Antoine Labelle.
In
Go
Laval.
les loups.
Yeah. So you had a high school band program. Was it like a stage band type of thing? Were you learning how to improvise? Was it a jazz thing? Like what did you learn in that context?
Yeah, so the context of that was it's a concentration hors études program. And yeah, so we had music class every day essentially in like a 14-day cycle. We'd have like 9 to 11 music classes, whether it was theory practice, and then there were like after school things for jazz, and I was obsessed with that. Obviously.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was in Harmonie. There were like different types. There was like a guitar orchestra, classic orchestra, and then like Harmonie was vent percussion, so it was just like we could play. It was mostly like kind of like a movie music and jazz renditions, but for like band, you know, high school band, classic movie stuff. Yeah.
Right. Sorry, I was just checking on some little technical issues. But I know that you had musical experience that started kind of in preschool and church, but can you tell a little bit about that? Like what were those initial experiences? How did that lead you to, was saxophone your first instrument? Did you mess around with other stuff? Tell me a little bit about that.
A little bit of drum stuff, percussion stuff. You know, kids, as a kid, I was just hitting everything. Anything that made a sound, I was like, this is cool. And like my Game Boy and like anything that like video game wise, like I would always be obsessed with the soundtracks and stuff. Like so that's early memory wise, that's what I could relate to. Otherwise, family parties, there was always music playing, and I would just like sit in front of whatever sound system was there, and I was obsessed with that. So it was really more like on the listening side at first. And then like when it comes to like anything performative, using your own body, so like dancing, hitting whatever's, and just making.
Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Shem? 1, 2. Can you hear me, Shem?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, it's getting cut out. You were saying about dancing, and then it cut out right after that. You said that you were dancing, and then it cut off. Dancing,
Singing, mouth noises. I don't remember what I said before dancing, to be honest with you.
So it was kind of a well, I guess maybe you were talking about maybe you were saying how you started saxophone, or I didn't get the transition.
Oh, okay. So essentially I was talking about like early on, just like when you spoke on how I went like learn music in church and like family parties and like preschool stuff. Preschool is very much just like singing songs that I knew from the radio, and we would often do like little shows, talent shows, stuff like that. Otherwise, family parties, always dancing, and I was always sitting in front of the sound system.
Did you ever take like kind of formal training in dance, or was it just something that you messed around with?
Not that I can remember. I don't remember taking any classes before school, and just like music classes in whatever school I was in until high school. Then it was more focused, and I believe like I think like 5th and 6th grade there was like you could choose if you wanted to take more music classes or more art classes type of thing, and I chose music.
Are you sure that you've never had formal training in dance? Because it kind of looks like you might have. I don't know.
No, oh my god. No way. No way. I can't believe you picked this up. You're insane.
So what's going on in here?
Bro, I was out here.
I'm just gonna mute the audio in case we get killed for like copyright. I just don't want the whole stream to go down. So tell me what's going on in here.
Yeah, damn.
It's even better without sound, actually.
Yeah. I learned from YouTube, you know, like not even still today, just learning from internet videos. There was someone who posted an educational dance video, and I followed along to the steps, and apparently I got it down pretty well. For a whole 2 minutes and 51 seconds, apparently. Whole
absolutely.
motion. That's longer than any video I've put up as a musician or an artist or anything. That's really terrifying.
Oh God, these claps! I love these claps. Anyway, so we've gone from there to this is one of my most favorite Cypher moments. I don't know if you remember this. Yeah, that was just like that's where all those skills came into play.
I'll never forget that, yo.
I'll
never forget that.
Yeah.
That night was crazy. That night was crazy.
It was.
Ooh.
It was the good old days.
I mean, a lot of them blend together, but you know, like all the blurry days blend together, and then the transition blends together. It's like, yeah.
But there's definitely things that stick out in my mind. Like there's like that moment.
Of course, there's some like
very...
hype moments.
Yeah,
like the Anomaly, like after the Anomaly show, like how packed that was. The line all the way to the other corner. Whoa.
Oh, the party. Yes.
And that was ridiculous.
It was a good time. What can I say? So
it was amazing. I cried so many times.
This is not from your first time, but it's almost.
Oh yeah, that's when I first cut my hair from afro to braids to Fresh Prince stuff.
I love personally.
Is that Danny McKinnon in the background?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Shout
right there, he's staring you down like a crazy person.
Like, but, this dude's back again. Oh. Shout out Killer Jewel on the boards.
Oh yeah,
that's Killer Jewel on the boards too. Yeah. Damn, okay.
Right there, hiding out. So I hope one day you bring the flat top back though, because I'm a big fan. I mean, I have no options in terms of hair, but you know, you got a couple. So maybe we can.
People love to see me without a hat.
Well, that's it. You're often wearing a hat, so it's always a surprise when it comes off, and people are like, "Oh, okay, whoa." You know. So maybe we can transition here and talk a little bit about Cypher, and maybe like how you first heard about Cypher, what brought you to Cypher in the first place, and all that kind of stuff.
So on that, I got to thank Chris Varillo, and I also got to thank Joey Joseph. Because they, Joey Joseph invited me to pull up and be the MC for a show we were doing at a Lebanese festival. I was initially just playing sax. And then, I met Chris Varillo through that. And after the show, long story short, he was like, hey, you got to check out this thing in the city in Montreal called the Cypher. I think you would like it. And then it was one of my homies' birthdays at the time. And, man, this is 5 years ago now. Crazy. We went there for a birthday, and Militime was hosting, if I remember correctly. Hopped on stage one time. I swear I still don't think I'm a rapper. I'm not a rapper, but I hopped on stage for one reason or another. I was most likely intoxicated. Hopped on stage. And that was the first time. Then I was like, I want to come here again sometime. And then a bunch of other friends were like, let's go again. And then we went again. And then it happened again and again. and again subsequently for about 70 weeks.
Something like that. I know that at some point you had I had written down that you had been there 69 weeks in a row, and then I think
exactly.
Unfortunately, I think that was broken, but I don't know how many it's been now, and I'm sure somebody. I was actually asking Marcel the other day whether she might be holding the record for the most. I mean, she hasn't been keeping track, but she's been coming very, very, very quickly. Yeah, so that's kind of how. You know what? I was a little slow in pulling this up, but I'm gonna pull it up anyway. So this is the Lebanese festival.
What? Why do you have this stuff?
Shem was playing. You can kind of see him right here.
Shout out Joey Joseph, yo. This kid actually just dropped a tune lately. Check him out on Spotify.
Living it up in the city. I got young songs, got St-Laurent, gotta keep too high, hot damn.
That's me saying hot damn in the background, yo. I'm out here doing back vocals, being cool.
I'm again gonna mute this for now.
At that show we did suit and tie, and that's actually like the first that's basically how I started rapping. Besides like just listening to rap music and like singing, like rapping along to rap tunes. Like I wasn't really like writing tunes like that, you know. I was just playing tunes and singing tunes, period. Like, and then for this show, it was covers, but for the rap bits, I didn't want to do like verbatim the bars. Like, I didn't want to bite bars. Apparently, that was always in me, even though, you know, it happens where you reference, but like, and obviously I reference when I flip the tracks, the bars on the tracks too. So it was like, that's how it started. That's also how the no cursing thing started. You know, it was very good advice from Joey's mother. She told me like, yeah, there's a certain character to it, and it shows skill when you don't curse when you rap. And I was like, ooh, and I still do it to this day thanks to that. So shout out Dolly, shout out Joey, shout out the whole family.
Yeah, it's interesting that all kind of came out of that situation. I mean, the situation, whatever, that experience. Because I thought that you got your start as a battle rapper. Is that not correct? No, you didn't get your start as a battle rapper. Are you sure? Because it sure seemed like you were doing some battle rap back in the day. I don't know.
How is this happening?
Well, I gotta find the.
You understand?
Oh, I gotta find just find this young Shem right
here. Oh my god!
This
I'm
is
so
young
scared.
Shem the battle.
I'm scared. Oh, how did you? Oh my god! Oh my god! I block you from my Facebook.
In fact, Lord. I'm pretty sure that you got into a physical altercation at one of these battle rap, one of these battles once. And pretty sure that you got slapped in the face.
Oh my god!
Slap the fuck out.
Why are y'all doing this to me?
So tell me a little bit about your youth, sir.
Whole dirty past now. Wow. That's insane. Yo, shout out to my homie Catherine. Yeah, actually in the first picture you pulled up with the young sack Shem, the girl right next to me on dinner, that's the same girl that just slapped me in the face.
Wow. Okay. Hold on, let me bring that back
Catherine,
up.
That's the homie. We're still homies, yo. Still friends to this day, so obviously that was all staged and acted, and it was fun, you know.
Oh, that was a stage. It really, I wasn't sure. I was like, how does he know what's gonna happen? And then it looked real legit. Like you guys were trying to go viral, I guess.
Apparently, you know, actually when I first got an iPod Touch with the camera, that's when everything, filming everything. I think I still have some of the videos on like a computer at my mom's house or something. Yeah.
Right. So yeah,
terrifying.
You did not get
stuff resurfacing.
You broke up there a little bit, but I think you're just saying it's terrifying that this stuff resurfaces.
Exactly.
Well, you know, I mean, this is how people get. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with cancel culture, or I don't know what that term means anymore. I don't think there's anything wrong with people getting canceled for some bullshit. But it is true that if you go far back enough, it's like, man, this was me in high school. Come on, let's you know, it was a different person, you know. But
entirely.
yeah, you know, but it's actually really interesting. I mean, you can find these videos if you're friends with Shem. You can find them in his profile. It's interesting in the sense that I wasn't sure.
Start digging, folks.
Start
Get the
digging.
comments ready.
Exactly. But I wasn't sure because, you know, I met you through Cypher, right? I met you through performing capacity, you know. So I was always wondering, like, this guy, this persona that he has on stage, is that him? Is that like something he puts on? You know, there's always a blurry line between the real you and the stage you and whatever. But discovering these videos, I was like, oh, he's always been kind of a goof. He's always been a goof. You know? So it may be an exaggeration or whatever, but it's still like it's part of, you know, who you are. So that was interesting.
Been, on that, yeah, I've always been a cartoon character. I've always been the type of person who like stretches my face, like almost literally. Like my face is actually pretty stretchy. But yeah, I don't know. I try not to stretch the truth, at least, but I do like a good exaggeration or a good hyperbole, if you want to go with that, you know. Like I'm from the 90s, yo. Like everything was extreme. Like I come from fruit roll-up commercials where fruit gusher commercials explode. Like that's what it was.
Sorry, you said fruit roll-up commercials and then it cut out. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, fruit gusher commercials where your head would turn into the fruit and explode.
Right.
Like that's what I'm from. You know?
Right.
So of course, I don't know. I'm very influenced by that era of like colors and flashy TV and SpongeBob and non-diagnosed ADD.
Yeah, it comes out naturally, and I like to see that, you know, that's where.
Yeah, man. At the end of the day, I really just try not to hurt people. That's all I've learned, man. I've done enough of that, and that's like the only thing I regret is hurting people. But yeah, if you don't do that and you're just doing your thing, usually things goes pretty well.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to have you know, seen this evolution, I guess. You know, in the sense of well, okay. So I guess my question is, you know, you had your friend's mom that kind of told you like maybe you should, or how did that happen? The no cursing thing. Give me a little background on that.
Kitchen conversation, preparing for the show, talking with Joey and his mom and his brother and like the whole family, just like in the kitchen, just talking about the show, and like we were writing out the bars, and he was really helping me out at the time, like to figure out what we were doing, because like I said, I'm not a rapper, wasn't a rapper, especially at the time. So it was really just like, I don't really feel like cursing, and then his mom pulled up and said, yeah, don't, it's a good idea, it shows character, shows that you've got a different mindset and vocabulary and stuff like that, and you can always find a different way to give out the same message. And now it's a challenge that I take up like constantly. Like it's gonna happen one day where like a curse is gonna come out, and I curse in regular life, like it comes out, but it's still something that I think about when I'm writing, and musically at least. Like that was just a casual kitchen conversation that changed my life forever, you know. But Joey's mom, Dolly, was like a second mom to me, you know what I mean? Like band, like in high school, because we were friends since high school, she would pull up to the when we had band competition, she'd be one of the chaperone parents, you know. So I've always had a close relationship with that whole family. Love them.
Yeah.
Love them to pieces. Shout out to all of y'all.
Well, it's interesting. I've had this conversation with a couple of other people in the sense of, not in terms of cursing, but just in the sense of putting like limitations helping you creatively. You know, that absolute freedom is not necessarily good. And even something as seemingly arbitrary or whatever, seemingly small as like no cursing, can really make you okay, how do I say that I'm really angry? How do I say that I really love this thing, or what? You know what I mean? Like there's
exactly that.
Yeah.
And then it say like casual things, like everyday things that you don't even think about that could offend people, you know what I mean? Like especially nowadays.
I feel
I view it. Like, which part did you get, and which part did you
You know
not
what?
get?
It's like I'm trying to you know what? Oh, this is so frustrating.
If
I'm really sorry
if
about
I
this.
can tell a story, if I
Yes,
can
go for
tell
it.
a story to just like let it roll off. On that same note, another huge inspiration for why I don't curse is my musical inspirations. If we want to get into that, like
Yeah.
Chaos and Shad. Chaos and
Yes.
Shad are two artists that like very prominently have a lot of like heavy verses that have no curses.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'm like a huge
Heavy
fan
verses
of
that
that. And
have
I'm
no
also
curses?
a huge yeah, there's actually a bar I'm forgetting which I think both of them actually have a bar that they say it. I think
Right.
on Shad's it's on his album with Tilo or EP with Tilo, and on Chaos is it's on like the B side of a track where he says like, and you have to kick a dope verse with no curse. Damn, it's crazy good stuff.
Yeah. So actually, we have a question about that. So I'm gonna pull this up. We have some questions that were submitted in advance, and in particular, this up on if I can. So I don't actually really know. Whoops, my face is not there. There we go. I don't know Chaos very well, unfortunately. But Overflow was asking you what your top 3 Chaos tracks would be.
Oh, that's a very difficult question. There are like what? There are over 100 Chaos tracks at this point, right? Oh man, heaven only knows. Shout out to Mike Clay who sold me that record.
Oh, it was Mike Clay that introduced you to at least to this record.
Well, no. He sold me. I knew the tune, but I had to get it physical. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
I gotta go pick up that good stuff. But definitely shout out to Mike Clay for having the record. You know what I mean? Like if you have that physical with the remixes on it, what craziness. Yeah, heaven only knows is a classic. Crab Bucket is definitely an iconic track to me. Sang it in front of my Sec 2 math class.
Wow. Okay.
Acapella, I remember. And it's now a tune that like the band and I play like all the time for fun, like as a cover tune. Like we love playing Crab Bucket. It's like it's a great tune. I love the latest project he dropped. What else? Man. Top 3. Okay, let me focus on that. Top 3. Cat Diesel. No. Black Ice. Crab Bucket just because my childhood heart. And Superstar Part 0 is my favorite to dance to. But but like maybe like the one that hits my heart the most. What Chaos song do I listen to every time and I'm like, "Oh, yo, I got it. Crucify."
There you go. It's top
there you go.
3 or whatever it was. I don't know how many that was now.
5 or 7.
Yeah, well, you know, the top yeah,
in no particular order.
Exactly.
I was about to start naming top 3 albums.
Well, that's a hard. You know what? One of the questions I asked Mark, the Magnanimous, was like, what his favorite Drake album? No, I mean, what was his favorite? Like, if you had like a desert island situation where you can only bring one album, and he never actually was able to come up with an answer because it's just like just one album. You know, I don't think I'm not sure if I have an answer to that even. It just makes me go through all the albums that I've loved, but I don't think I have an answer.
I mean, if I have any sort of sampler where I can like remanipulate it into new songs,
right?
Then like cool, you know,
right?
Like I'll take any album. Like I've got a few choice albums that I'm down to sample, but like if I can't like resample it and like switch it, there's like that's when the question becomes more limited because then you're stuck listening to it in that order or like on shuffle at least like just that selection of songs. Like there's no
right.
Oh man, that's terrifying.
So actually talk to me a little bit about that. So I know that you started beat making at age 13. What were you at that point? Like, I guess maybe talk about the beginnings in terms of how you got started and then maybe what you're doing now. And
the story of Ramses. Neptunian ambassador kidnapped from the laboratory where he was created in, part robot, part plant, all 3D. Okay, that's the fictional version. In reality,
that's the truth. That's the truth.
maybe not fictional version, but more esoteric version. In reality, like if you want to look at into tech and computers and stuff, computers with homies and like breaking apart old ones and putting them into another one to like make them work faster. And in high school, we had classes where we had studio classes. We were using older Logic,
Nice,
and we
okay.
had to record ourselves, make MIDI tracks, and like figure out how arming tracks worked and like how to use Logic in general. And me and my homie Simon, we would put in extra hours at lunchtime to finish up tracks and write like movie scores. I wish I could have sent you that. I think I have it somewhere on an old computer.
That would
I'll
be crazy cool.
release it one day for the people. Or maybe I'll just sample it and make a beat with it. It's got like some fun, like classic Logic sounds from back in the day, and like some recording of me on Barry sax and my homie on trumpet, and lots of piano MIDI stuff. It's kids making tracks on a computer.
Yeah. What year would that have been when you were doing that?
2000, anywhere between like 2009 and 11.
Nice. Yeah, I find that there's I've heard a lot of stories about people having some kind of option in school that allowed them to explore whether it's beat making or music or whatever, and just seeing how many of those programs are getting cut and stuff. It really sucks because so many people came out of it with some real skills and things that they continued using all the way through. And to hear that in high school you were messing around with Logic, I'm like, holy cow, that's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, in retrospect, I always think about it. I always wanted to apologize to a lot of my music teachers, and go back to my high school and be like, "Yo, I was such a dumb kid." In retrospect, like I took this for granted. I didn't appreciate this as much as I could have. Like I had free studio access and free like music facilities like every day. Every day, I could have gotten into school at 6 a.m. and left at 9 p.m. if I wanted to. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I didn't do that, but I would stay oftentimes for jazz class till sometimes like 11. That was like the coolest stuff ever, but which is probably what led to this. But yeah, man, I think about it. I think of how like I was rude to a lot of teachers in the sense like there were a lot of classes where, for example, well, maybe not rude, but definitely rebellious in the sense like I was always like, oh man, I want to go practice jazz. I don't really want to sit here and like listen to you practice with the other students because you're wasting my time. You're wasting my time and my mother's money. This isn't fun for me.
I like we were talking about unearthing old videos and whatever. There's a certain. We've all made mistakes as younger people. I think of some stupid thing I said to a teacher. I always I wish I told him that actually his thing was very positive influence on me, whatever. But you gotta have
retrospect. I would like to thank all my teachers for helping me progress into who I am today, and apologize for my mishaps and like the way I acted. Man, I was a dumb kid. I apologize, man. I was a dumb kid.
I'll just say shout out to all the teachers out there. You gotta have a thick, if in music, you gotta have a thick skin to like deal with all the rejection, whatever. As a teacher, holy crap, the thick skin you gotta have to that. Oh my God. Okay, so Noah Day says much love. Shout out to MC Blowfish and Dust Gang Daddy. That's right, because I told Noah Days about MC Blowfish many years. That was my high school. There's no trace of that online, but anyway, whatever. That was one of my nicknames, not a nickname. I created it for myself. It was not.
I wish I could send your energy back.
I wonder if I might actually have, because I had that on a band T-shirt, and I might still have that band T-shirt like hanging somewhere in my closet. Anyway, if I find it, I'll bring it out at the next live stream. It was a digital underground thing, but whatever. So we were talking about beat making, getting started with Logic. So that's amazing that your first software was Logic. And talk more about like going forward in time and where and what and so on.
So after that, I gotta thank a couple of my homies that introduced me to other DAWs like Cubase. My homie Andrew was just like, yo, check this out, try it out, see if you like it. And it was like it because I didn't have an Apple computer. I was a PC heavy kid. Still am. And yeah, so I tried out Cubase and I was like, cool, I can record, do MIDI tracks, and made a couple beats on that. I still have them on a computer. They're unreleased, and I don't think I'll release them for a while because you know, they're old ideas. And I could definitely like use the same progressions and rhythms, but like old ideas in terms of like actual file material. Lots of Cubase stuff at first. Then I discovered the beauty of Ableton when I bought my first MIDI controller because it came with MIDI. With Ableton Intro. And that was fun for creative limitations because you could only have 8 tracks. I think you could only have like 2 return tracks and like max of 4 plugins in a chain, stuff like that. Great, super fun to make beats on that. Still have a lot of those beats. And then loop sessions happened, and then I was obsessed with the idea of getting a laptop. I was like, I'm only desktop based right now when it comes to like recording. I need to pull up here and sample stuff. And now but that's like, you know, jumping maybe in 2-year gaps from like 2013 into high school, then 2015 learning Cubase, then 2017. Maybe a bit before that learning Ableton, definitely a bit before that learning Ableton. And from 2015 on was the Ableton era, I'd say.
So pretty much you're an Ableton guy nowadays. Is that it? Or do you
Nowadays,
sometimes play with the others?
Yeah. I'll definitely like try to learn every DAW eventually, but Ableton is my mainstay. It's the one that I paid money for and for the full version. Right. So I have to commit to it now.
I think it's good to go deep. You know, it's one thing to learn everything. I mean, it's valuable to know a little bit about everything, but it's also, I think it's far more valuable just to.
That's it. Yeah. At the end of the day, what I always feel is that if I know how to record, that's all I really need in any DAW.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, I just want to record, bounce the stems, and put it in Ableton.
Right. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Do you use Ableton as a live thing, or do you use it mostly for like creation?
Yeah. I've done a couple live beat sets with like live instruments as well, where I'll have my laptop center stage, let's say, and like a mixer or a sound card, and then I'll have some MIDI controllers, have an Ableton session open, and I'll just either have tracks. Usually I'll use the launch pad and like just have all my tracks ready, and then like I can switch it to a drum kit, and I'll have like a little either a keyboard or a synth ready on the other side and make like electronic jams, you know. And then like there'll be an instrumentalist there, like Fred, Shane, Julia, Franz, homies. Pull up and jam, Gabby.
Yeah, and we may see us on stage at some point in the near future, to be discussed. And we got stuff in the works. We'll see what happens with all that. But
more of that.
Yeah. But that sounds amazing. I love the combination of like the clever combination, shall we say, of digital, or not. It's not about digital really. It's just about the use of a DAW, and I don't even know how to categorize these instruments anymore. You know what I mean? Like a trigger system and a DAW and blah blah blah, incorporated with live instruments, so that you have like the metronomic perfection of something combined with the looseness and the spontaneity of live instruments.
Yeah, that's exactly what I find fun too. Like the fact that like you kind of have to commit to a tempo.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And like if you're a little bit sluggish, you can tell way faster than if like the whole band just decides to follow. Right. It's a little like I can definitely like tap tempo and link it, but like at the end of the day,
you're following me.
At the end of the
day,
it's
the
like
other way
playing
around.
with a click. At the end, exactly. At the end of the day, it's like playing with a click. It's woof.
Yeah, it's a whole other skill set. But it's
like dealing with technical difficulties on an interview live stream. There was this one time we had a gig. Speaking of that type of gig, we did a gig at Escalier, and my computer just wouldn't run the sound card.
Oh god!
It was a 5 à 7 gig for 40 minutes of this 2-hour gig, my sound card was just, nope. I could run my mic, and I couldn't run my computer sound through the PA. So it was just bass, sax, and me beatboxing and rapping and figuring it out. Yo.
Oh wow.
I don't know how that worked out the way it worked out, but then like when I I reinstalled the drivers mid while beatboxing, I'm like,
oh my god,
but rapping, getting it to work.
Wow.
I reinstalled the drivers, everything starts up, and boom, we're back in. I can actually use sounds, and my life was saved.
Well, that's
So,
it.
yeah.
I mean, it's as much as these technological advances help us, they're also a constant source of frustration, unquestionably.
But that's what I love about it. Like, if something goes wrong, it added so much to the show.
It's true. That's true. You can really,
like, I'm telling the story now because that happened. Otherwise, I would have been like played a gig on stage with the beats and stuff, and we would have moved on.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. And it's again also the limitations thing. It's like, okay, can I fix this while I'm performing and all this? And I'm sure there's tons of stuff you learned from that, and maybe even just in terms of like, I should have a backup in case this happens. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
You know, like I don't know. I keep bringing up Mark the Magnanimous, but like, you know, he always has his phone ready in case his computer stops working, so that he can plug his phone in and just play some tracks off of like iTunes or something, you know, while he's like debugging his Serato or whatever the heck is not working. So, that kind of thing. So we have a couple. Yeah. We have a couple more questions that I thought I would get into because there's so many questions. Anyway, whatever. I let me just pull this up here. Let me just up first. Oh, and of course, it's gonna work. Is it going to? So, right. So, we're gonna kind of move all over the place. But I think the question that I would like to ask, was actually. Yes, so I don't actually know if this is a spam, because, you know, the thing on Instagram is there's so much spam. It's just nonstop spam. But we got this question, which may or may not be spam, but I think it's actually a really good question. So if it's not spam, I apologize to fwea.co. But the question is, aside from necessities, what one thing could you not go a day without? That's actually a really interesting question. What is the one thing you could... Headphones.
Headphones. I know it's not a necessity technically, but to me it is.
No. Aside from necessities is the question.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's not a necessity, right? But to me, I've missed buses. I've been late to stuff. Run back. I've turned around and I'm like, I don't have headphones. I'm not going through this day. Period.
Right. It's hard.
Yeah.
If
headphones break, I will drop everything and go buy some new ones. It's headphones.
Right. It's funny. I used to listen to so much. I have a previous life as a software developer, as some people know. I used to listen to so much more music when I was a software developer because you're sitting at a desk or whatever, you're doing stuff, you know, and you could just be listening to music 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours a day. You know, it's really amazing. So headphones. Let me whoops. In there. So here's a question from Hardbody Jones. Why did you choose a picture from 2018? So he's referring to the promo picture that we used for this this stream. Shem, why is your Facebook page out of date and that I pull up promo photos and they're from 2018? What the hell's going on here?
Okay, here I'm gonna give another shout out. I'm just gonna name drop and give shout outs and gratitude this whole interview. Shout out to Hardbody Jones, shout out to Mags, because both of these people whoop me in the keister when it comes to social media and marketing and presenting myself as an artist, and I thank them because otherwise I would literally do even less, and I don't do enough already. So my social media game is at an all-time 0. I'm trash at it. I don't enjoy it, which is why I loved HG Monster so much when he pulled up, when ES pulled up S. Not sure how to pronounce it. Yes, but Social Media, crazy album. Shout out to them too. Yeah. I'm bad at it. Like I know I'm a kid, but like
You
it's not
should be-
something
Come
I
on, aren't you on
enjoy doing.
TikTok?
Like,
Come on, man. You know?
like, I should be on. I technically should be, but I'm like, oh no.
Well,
I
as
don't
we have
wanna.
previously established, you do have very good dance moves, so you really should be on TikTok. But
You know, people try to get me in their TikToks, and I'm like, I will, and then I thankfully always get saved by another situation.
well,
But
I
I'm
think
never
the re-
making an account. That's maybe not never, but I'm not making an account for a long time. Like not for myself, like a Shem G or Shamar Gordon. Like I'm not interested in being on that platform for myself. Maybe Grove needs a TikTok, like, but I don't think
Right.
I'll run it.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess that's one of those dilemmas of being a. Well, it's not even just a musician. It's just being an entrepreneur of any kind. It's like you kind of have to be on social networks for business reasons, you know, but not because you want to be. And like there is actually an Urban Science TikTok account which I never check, but I put up some like stupid videos up there. But I was like, you know, it's really it is a social network with its own. Okay, so never mind what it is. I mean, whatever. Everybody can go and create a TikTok account and find about it if they don't know about it. But I think it's important on one sense for us to get on social networks early because there's a chance of like blowing up more because there's less people on it. You know what I mean? So there's a chance of
Yep.
distinguishing yourself a little bit more. But on the other hand, it can be just a giant waste of time, a giant time sink that goes nowhere. And you know,
like Vine is dead.
yeah, Vine is dead, and it's like, why would I rather be like doing dance moves on TikTok or like making music? You know, so
Exactly.
it's yeah,
That's
yeah,
exactly
it's
it. And like that's the whole thing. Like I choose my battle. Like I'm on the social networks that I'm on for the reasons that I'm on them. Like a lot of it it's just because I like connecting with my friends in the community in the
course.
city when it comes to music. Like that's really where it's and like I have a Facebook page because I was pushed to do so, and like I'll update it every once in a while, but I very rarely think about it.
In fact, since in 2
Instagram,
years you
on
have
the
not
other hand-
updated the profile pictures.
Yeah, I gotta give a quick shout out to the photographer of that picture, actually, Lamia. Yeah, crazy good stuff, man. Yeah, just good people, and I don't do it justice. I don't do the artist life justice. I sleep too much, maybe. No, I don't sleep enough.
Well, there's
I have a night shift tonight.
Yeah, that's true. You know, there's just limited time to get everything done, and it's like something's gotta give.
Yeah.
You know, it's like how at the end of the day, like how important is it to update your Facebook page's, you know, profile picture, like whatever.
It's not.
You know, yeah,
It's
you
not
know.
that important to me. It doesn't matter. I was like, oh, that's a cute picture of my face. Good job. I shaved that one time. Look at me now.
That one time. So actually, you said that you have a shift tonight. You work in the health sector. You work. I believe you
Yeah.
work as an X-ray tech. Is that correct?
I work in radiology and CT. It's a good
There you go.
time.
So,
That's
this is kind of tied into it. We have a question from my wife, actually, from Katie Stews, and it's kind of related, and or maybe not. I don't know. But the question is very simple: what's your morning routine? And I think it's kind of like questioning, like in terms of, like, for example, you're going to a night shift right now. I don't know how steady your schedule is, you know, and then maybe talk about how that routine may have changed since COVID. Well, anyway, whatever. You can interpret this question however you like.
I've got like some like a pretty perfect day planned for like myself, but depending on like if I'm working an evening shift, a night shift, or not at all, you know. And like it's pretty much always the same in terms of like I sleep, I wake up, morning routine to me is just when I wake up.
Of course, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So like it could be in the evening if I had a night shift. Like if I went to bed at 9 a.m., I'm not waking up in the morning.
Yeah.
Like it's just not gonna happen. But yeah, when that happens, I try to get like a good stretch in, drink some tea, and like then usually it's like typical stuff where it's like you check out some emails, you watch some educational YouTube videos, normally about like either animation, illustration, or music theory, or like beat stuff, you know, like that's usually what I do. I try to, or a podcast or an audiobook or just something to like put in my brain while I'm like sipping on tea or cleaning up or eating or whatever. And then I try to practice if I can, depending on what I want to practice, because I'm trying to learn like a million instruments at the same time.
Right.
Like a fool. But it's great. It's a ton of fun. I don't really feel bad for not focusing on one instrument. I feel like I focus when I want to. But yeah, just like practice is another thing that I try to get done somewhere in the day. Like I'll either like jam with the radio, or I'll like just sketch whatever's around, like when it comes to like illustration stuff, or I'll try to mix an old beat of mine like from years ago. I was doing that today with Darkest Million. Yeah, and like stuff like that, you know, just try to get. And then another thing I try to do is like I'll try to get a musical like connection going. Like I live with a bunch of musicians, and so like oftentimes like, yo, you trying to chop? Or like I have a lot of friends that, like, most of my friends are music makers, so that's usually how I hang out with people.
Yeah.
And then once I'm done hanging out with people, I'm getting ready for work. I'll either take a nap, make some more food, and I went from morning routine to full day. But yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that's part of it, especially when you have a sort of a strange schedule, or not strange, but whatever. You have a non-fixed schedule, you know.
Non-fixed schedule, exactly. But I dig it. Like that's, yeah, I try to keep creative, especially on my days off. Like days off, it's usually go to a park all day and like bring a boombox and the pocket operators.
Nice. Yeah. I find it extremely difficult just to find time in a day to get to everything, you know. But yeah, it sounds like you have a similar routine to me, you know, in the sense of just trying to fit it in where you can, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Fit sleep in where you can, fit food in where you can, and everything else is just problem solving as it comes, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me get to another one of these questions. I'm going to pull it up. Another question from Hardbody Jones is, what's your supervillain name?
Ramses. Another 1,000 souls for Ramses. Another 1,000 souls.
So Ramses is one of your beatmaker names. I know you have 6. I believe you have 6. You are 6 artists, rather, I should say. That's what I'm trying to say.
On DistroKid, I'm at least 5.
Is there actually a distinction, or is it just kind of like, oh, I came up with another artist name? Oh, goddamn. Shem froze again.
Yeah, Ramses is an alter ego. I feel like I'm here. Ramses, I feel like I'm here. Of course I do. Ram is my alter ego. It's a lot of it came through when the beat making started, and I was really into low, really slow, crunchy, fuzzy, boom bappy stuff. And yeah, I was like really getting more into space and all that, and I like really started digging the planet Neptune, and then like this whole persona evolved from Ramses is actually just secrets. People should be asking scarier questions. You already pulled out my high school videos. Like, it's already over. It's already over for me. I don't mind.
Actually, on that note, we are taking questions at any point. So if anybody's got a question, please do put it down in the comments. So we got Ramses. What are some of the
another hour? Let's get it.
What are some of the other artists that live within Shem?
Within the council of Shems in my brain. There's Shem G, as you know me by usually. Then Ramses the beat maker. Apparently now there's Dust Gang Daddy, which I really dig. Apparently, I think he's gonna be funkier. Shout out to Noah Days. Noah Days is the dean, as Silent J would put it. Yeah. Who else? Yan F. Let's talk about Yan F. Yonf, as Fed Duston put it. Yonf is listen, this is, again, I'm just telling everyone all the secrets. Everyone gets to know now. I'm announcing something that has no music out, but you'll be hearing something this year. Okay. It's French ukulele pop bangers. Boy.
You don't think the ukulele boat has sailed?
The ukulele is the key. The ukulele is the key to the whole jump off. I've got two of them. Got a banjo lately and a little acoustic jump off, and yep, I'm telling y'all, okay?
Okay.
Yan F, watch
F.
out.
Okay. Are you familiar with the kazookalele?
What's the kazookalele?
I'll you know what? I'm just gonna pull
Tell
it up
me
right
more,
now. Get your
I already
reaction to it,
love.
I guess.
Yeah, but otherwise, like those are probably like the three main in my head, right? Then Shem G and Shamar Gordon are different artists, I say. And
How
I feel
so?
like Shamar Gordon's only gonna pull up when I'm in my 30s, you know? Like when I'm making more like full live music, like jazz oriented. And then after my jazz career like really peaks and falls, you know? Like I don't know what's gonna happen, but something's gonna happen. And then I get old and lose all my teeth, and then I'm Bleeding Gums Gordon, and I move to New Orleans.
I love it. Bleeding
That's
Gums
how
Gordon.
I want
I
to
love
retire.
that.
Bleeding Gums Gordon plays the Black Pearl. It's so like that's some of them, and then there's gonna be see I've got a lot of these characters, right? There's one that be living in the UK for a bit. Kind of weird, like painterly, wear overalls, but like they paints himself Posca pens and weird designs, and wears a bandana and sunglasses all times and all that good nonsense. And his name's Rob Boss.
Rob Boss. You know there is a.
Rob Boss is also.
Go ahead.
You know, yeah, Rob Boss is also me. I looked it up online, and I didn't see anyone like with the name prominently. So I'm like, I can maybe take over this persona.
You know what? I'm thinking. Who am I thinking? Oh, I'm thinking of Rob Bass, of course. Yeah, I got confused. So bringing back that kazookalele from earlier, this is what I'm talking about. I'm surprised that you have not heard of this, or maybe you have.
What is
Hold on
going on?
Let me turn the volume up.
The design of the box is so cute, but I can't hear it.
You can't hear, you said?
I can't hear it, no.
That's okay. Well, let's not like deal with the
Well, I'll
issues right now.
definitely
But
be
you're gonna have to
looking
check that
into
out.
that. Now
Yeah,
that I have
it
this
is-
image in my head, you know, the kazookalele.
It is one of the early internet things. I don't know.
Maybe Yan F will have to get into that once Ramses gets into modular synthesis, and there'll be a whole like collaboration album between the Council of Shem in my head.
There you go. Yeah, Fred Dustin was on the stream. He said, "Yonf." He's there.
Yo,
Yonf.
dust. Yo, let's
Gang
talk a
in the
little bit
place.
about yeah, exactly. Let's talk a little bit about the gangs and the crews
Yes,
and the homies.
absolutely.
Like, real quick.
Tell me a little
That's,
bit
wow,
about.
look at that.
Tell me
Yeah.
about these guys.
Wow.
I'm just gonna play this while you talk about like
See
talk about
that-
Grove, talk about
see
Dust
that-
Gang, talk about all this stuff.
Wow. See
You know?
that cutie sitting in there in the front with the bass, man. That's Fred Dustin. That's the Dust Bunny, man. He's the one, you know. A lot of the beat making like enthusiasm came from just chopping it up at Blurry when I lived there for a bit. Just in my room with Fred, yo, just like chopping records, and it just one by one more and more came out, and it was like, yo, this is fun, and that's how that happened. When it comes to me and Fred and Dust Gang, that's why Dust Gang's Dust Gang, because his last name's Dustin. I used to say gang ridiculously often. And also my last name starts with G, so it was a whole like initials thing, which is kind of how a lot of my a lot of the duos that I got going on go that way. Like for example with Hard Body Jones, we've got Grand Gestures, right?
Yes.
So that's like another serious duo that like is definitely something to check out as soon as I get on. See, another thing that Hard Body's really excellent for is he's got one of the best work ethics on this planet, and he's really good at pushing people to like maximize their potential and stuff. So yeah, as soon as I get on it and get off my butt and like mix all the tracks, you'll be hearing more from us. Oh snap, you pulled up grand gestures like that. Look at that, yo.
This is just Google skills. This is nothing. Come on.
You quick with
But
it.
check. I'm just gonna pause this.
Already spicy. Spicy is actually the one, yo. That's like, that track is fantabulous. I love bars on that track. No, yeah, man. Shout out to the onesie in that one picture. Beautiful. Shout out to Hardbody Jones. Honestly, one of the most inspiring artists that I've ever encountered, and definitely going for the longevity in the city. So, you know, we out here.
Yeah. So, actually, you were talking earlier about the apartment above Blurry. So, who lived in that apartment? Like, how did that? You know, obviously, so I guess it's possible that there's some people watching who don't realize that before the Bootlegger, we were at another bar called the Blurry Bar on Blurry, obviously between Catherine and President Kennedy. And yeah, tell us a little bit about the apartment and all that stuff.
A revolving door of artists. Yeah, just like 4 apartments essentially, just all kinds of different people coming in and out depending on the season. And yeah, every once in a while there'd be crazy jams, crazy parties. I can't even tell you how, like, I couldn't even start name dropping because I definitely miss out on too many, like dozens of different people have been like came jam and ended up hanging out all night. Like, if I start name dropping, it'll take me forever. And I was about to say Trevor Noah because I talked about Trevor Noah before.
Different Trevor.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely, like, a lot of the people I live with now, like, definitely spend some time around here. Man, Marco, y'all know Marco, the dancing cook, my bae, another one of my one and onlys, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. Well, did you two start coming to Cypher at the same time, or was it? Because I know you guys were close. Did you know each other before Cypher, or did you like? What's
we knew each other in high school, but
nice.
Definitely like on a not even like on a close friendship basis. Like, I always had headphones in. He was always spinning a basketball on his finger, walking through the halls, going straight to the gym. I was always going straight to cubicles to practice. We'd cross each other, nod heads, be like, "Sup, sup." That was it. And then I think like there were maybe 3 parties or whatever in high school that we like chilled at a few times. But then we hung out a little bit more at a couple parties because we had a lot of friends in common. And I remember telling him about the Cypher. I think I was like 2 weeks in. And then he came and was like, "Yo, this is dope." And then he just kept coming, and then we just never stopped pulling up. Then we ended up moving there. Now we still live together.
There you
it's
go.
A beautiful love story, friends.
So yeah, I believe Shem was also in the apartment above Blurry. Is that correct, or am I misremembering that?
Who? Sorry?
I said I believe Shem was also in the apartment above Blurry. Is that correct, or am I misremembering that? Oh,
I'm missing the name. Yeah, I'm only missing the name of
Marco. I assume.
Yeah,
yeah. He was part of that.
We shared a room for like a year.
Well, there you go. You know,
we shared a room for a year. That's like that's like a lesson to anybody. Like, if you're just trying to like hustle for a bit, you know, like, and save some extra money on rent, find a really, really good homie and work it out.
Yeah,
you can do it, friends.
You can
do it.
I mean, you know, I always found it amazing when we first got to know each other through the initial ciphers and all this. I was like, and I discovered that you were coming from Laval every time. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. You guys are really like hardcore fans. I mean, there were a lot of people coming in from pretty distant locations. And I guess that's how we kind of developed our notoriety or whatever. Part of what, you know, gave that. So, you know, there was I'm trying to think of where we can go from here because I'm also checking the time. Shem is going to have to go soon. So again, I will say that
we're
if you
good.
do,
we got time. We've got about 40 minutes.
oh
left.
yeah,
That's
okay, all
enough
right.
time to
I don't want
get
to
a few questions in.
Okay. Oh, I missed this from earlier, but Paul Carniello was on the stream and he's like, "What the f is TikTok?" You know, Paul's an old man. Paul's a very old man, so you know he
Shout
doesn't
out
really
to Paul
know.
Carniello. Paul Carniello is the producer of my first record, one of many. Big shout outs to Paul Carniello. We're actually working on a little something for y'all later this year. Actually,
Nice.
in like a month if everything goes well. I don't want to spill the beans a little too heavily there, but on that note, I want to talk a little bit about another duo I got with within the Dust Gang, the Sword and Staff with Harkus
Yes.
Farkus Millen, Darkus Millen. That's another one of the like combination groups we got going on. So yeah, lots of music. You know, I'm out here to make tons of tunes and no else until the world opens up, and even then, I'm not the type to dip.
Yes. So check out the Sword and Staff. It's is it a full length or is it an EP or?
It's 9 tracks. So I don't know how long it is really. Maybe like half an hour or something. Maybe less.
Okay.
That last tune, Sauce, is like really dope. Shout out to Etienne Calderon. I don't know why his name isn't there, but yeah.
Because you're cutting him out, man. You're cutting him out of all the royalties, the tons and tons of royalties that are coming.
I don't even think this album is registered on SoCan yet, man. Like I said, I'm trash at like all this registration stuff. I will get like this is literally the year where I've like pulled out every notebook and bullet journal and like strategy and like tried to learn every possible way to get my life together.
Right. But the SoCan thing is really, really, really easy. Like it's all done online now. It's so like back in my day,
Yeah.
maybe
That's
not
what
so
I'm
much. But yeah, register your stuff. You'll get some free money coming.
Big advice to all the artists, yo. Exactly. Straight up. Like that's some great advice I got from Paul Carniello. Actually, he taught me so much, like music business 101. Gave me mad documents. Anybody should go talk to him about learning that. I need to learn grant writing next, though, folks. Anybody want to hit me up and teach me grant writing?
Oh boy, yeah, that's a whole. Anyway, I have very mixed feelings about grant writing because on the one hand, there's money there to be had. On the other hand, it's like I would really rather just focus on music and not like. Look, you know what I've always said for myself. I've always said like if I applied for a grant and I said like this project is going to explore the unique cultural landscape of being a Chinese Canadian growing in cultural like whatever, some kind of thing like that, I would get the grant in a second, regardless of whether the project has anything to do with that. You know what I mean? And that's one of my problems with the grant thing. It's like they're always looking for certain things, and if you cater to what things they're looking for, you can get it. And it's just like, yeah, but it
feels gross and soul selling.
It does. It really does. And anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that either, you know. I definitely like my focus would be like, yo, let's just do Canadian artists, period.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's or like Montreal artists, period. Like that's how I would want to get in. But then again, like I'm always, like I said about the whole high school thing, I'm always a little bit rebellious on that. Like I want to win a Juno in like alternative rock, if that's a thing, you know. Like like I want to not like on some Tyler the Creator business where it's like I don't want to win in hip hop or in R&B or in like a quote unquote like urban category or black category. Like I want to win in something that's like win in music if I win anything at all, you know.
Right. Well, I mean, the whole category thing, it's, you know,
genres are dead anyway. Is that how we feel? Like, where are we at with that?
I personally don't think genres are dead, but I think it's very frustrating to get it put into a category that has nothing to do with the sonics of the music, you know? And it's just like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, what you know, and it's like, you know what, the maybe the recent-ish example is the Old Town Road, you know, and that whole thing of it getting removed from the country, you know, Billboard charts and all that kind of thing. Is like, man, have you listened to country music today? Like, it's not banjos and whatever. Like, it's not washboards and banjos, you know, that's not what it is. So like, what is it sonically that distinguishes this in any way from any other country music that's being released? And there isn't, you know, and yet it got removed. It's like, man, it's just as country as anything else, you know, that fits in.
Exactly. And it shows a different face of the industry when people put out that type of message, you know? When people say like, "Oh, you're not country," this, but then if you, it's like, it's clearly a country track. It's like, well, why isn't it country though?
Yeah. Why not? Why? What possible reason?
Why isn't it country? I wonder.
What possible reason?
Curious.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so
that's always like a huge conversation in the music industry. You know, it's gonna take a lot of steps and a lot of time to get all of that fixed up. And you know how every company is like, hey, we support you, but we really like money, and we really want you to keep spending money with us. So we're gonna tell you that we really care about you, so you can keep spending money here. Thanks.
Right. Yeah. I think like the ultimate rub for me with this kind of thing, if we just keep it in the music realm, I mean, obviously it's affecting what music realm.
Yeah, but we're here talking about artist process and music, right? So in that vein,
I wasn't trying to redirect. I was just whatever. I'm having like a mental diarrhea coming out. I'm just thinking in all directions. But you know, is like
everything you do is diarrhea, Vincent.
This is true. This is true. I'm old, so everything I do is diarrhea now. It's just no solid waste coming out anymore.
Old fart.
It's no, there's no farts. It's just diarrhea. It's just diarrhea all the time now. It's
he thought it was a fart. In fact, we're bringing back the classic Thursday silliness with Shem and VSO. Thank you for attending the show.
Nobody needs to hear this. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was just saying, like, bring back the like, you know, if you're gonna say Old Town Road is not country, then like, why is Macklemore rap or urban or whatever category he fits into? You know what I mean? Ooh. Like, it's like, if we're gonna apply it that way, then let's apply it the other way. You know,
said it, folks. He brought the heat.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I actually think it is. Like,
I see,
yeah.
Yo.
Yeah, but I actually like. I think
it's exactly the type of question we should be asking. Like, what actually does qualify? Like, what are the parameters now? Like, who decides? You know, like, who's on the council and why are they on the council? And all of these questions need to be answered. Now, I can't even begin to know, because again, I don't even register my stuff in SoCan properly. But
right.
At the end of the day, I want to understand it, and that's part of my ideology of longevity in music and having a quote unquote career in music. I want to understand how it works, not necessarily to like rise to the top, but I just want to be knowledgeable about it so that I'm at least not getting screwed over.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a balance of like, no, you know, I went to this sort of like music business workshop many years ago, and the guy was just breaking down like, okay, this is what an agent does, this is what, you know, breaking down all the different things, you know. And there was somebody, I forget why they raised this question, but they basically, maybe we went around and asked like, what are people doing and what do you want to get out of this? And the person said that I'm basically here because I want to learn how to do everything, because I don't want to hire people to do any of these things. I just want to do it myself. And up until a certain point, yes, that makes sense. But I think it's an important, you know, I think it's important to be good at what we're doing as artists, be artists, and be good at being artists, you know, and then hire somebody who is a pro at being a PR person or a pro at being a booker or a pro whatever, and just like do that. On the other hand, if we don't know anything about those things, then how are we supposed to judge who's a good person to hire to do that work? You know, like if we don't know at least some basic information.
That's it.
So, you know,
that's exactly how I feel about it. Like, for example, when it comes to it comes to like what we do with Grove, it's like if I didn't have Shane, if we didn't have Maya and Gabby, like we'd be so under the water. Like I'd be personally under the water if I had to do all the stuff that they do for us. I'd be like I don't even know where to begin. Like Grove wouldn't be where it is. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing at all. Like everything that's happening is thanks to teamwork and thanks to just sitting in a room with a bunch of heads and trying to figure out how the heck we're gonna it's funny to think about, but like getting a tiny square in someone's face for them to press it twice with their thumb and then physically leave their house is like the most complicated thing I've ever come across.
I didn't quite a tiny in front of their face. What do you?
Yeah, you get this thing, you get this tiny square in front of their face, and then they press on it 2 times, and then they eventually leave their house and come to your gig. Like that's what it is now apparently.
Right.
And like everyone's trying to get them to do that. So it's like, oh, okay, how do you do that better than other people? You can't. You just have to have really good music and a fun event, and then it'll happen. Like the product, if you want to call it like that, like the experience has to come first, like in my opinion. But then you have other people that are like, yeah, but people won't even know about the experience if they never like see the content. So then it's like a vicious cycle and circle of like, what do you start with? What do you focus on? You know?
Right. I mean, I don't know if you checked out. I mean, it was a very long fucking workshop that I did on like promo and tech and whatever. But like, this has been something that I've been grappling with, and I met somebody that phrased it like that encapsulated it very clearly to me. And basically, all it was just saying that, you know, the product, the event, or the art, or it could be a release or whatever, but the product, right, is one thing, and you just as an artist got to make sure that stuff is together, you know, and then promotion is just showing the product. It's as simple as that, in the sense of people are thinking, oh, I gotta like, oh, let's do a thing like, if you like and subscribe, then you'll get a free blah blah. Nobody fucking does that. Nobody. When was the last time you actually like followed one of those like, share my post to win a? No, nobody does that, right? Unless it's like win a new computer.
Share this post to 10 people, tag 15 people to win a free.
Yeah, no, nobody does that unless there's a real prize, like I said, like a new computer or something like that. Nobody's doing that, right? And then if it is a new computer, everyone just knows that it's a scam, so like they don't do it anyway.
They just don't,
yeah. So you know, the thing that this guy said was really, it's just like, you as an artist work on the product, and then the promotion is just show the product. You know, and it's not something that I had encapsulated that clearly before. But it was something I was kind of doing, in the sense that, like, in the early days of Cypher, you know, I was, you know, hosting and playing and whatever. But then I would also like film people as they came up, like just on my phone. I would just film them real quick, and then I would put those video. Like, I think back then we weren't even on Instagram yet. But then I would make like a little compilation and then put those videos on Facebook or whatever, so that people could see what the event was, and then be like, oh, maybe I'll check the next one out, and blah 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 blah. But you know, I think that's easier when you have an event, because there is stuff happening on a weekly basis, you know. And I think when it comes to releasing music, it's trickier because you have to plan more, like in the sense of like, if you just worked on putting out an album and then put out the album, then how do you show the product aside from giving all the music away for free? You know what I mean? So I feel like you have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm definitely not an expert in this, but I feel like, okay, you got to work on the album, but then you got to be like, what are the singles? What are the things we're going to make videos for? Are we going to maybe do some live performances of it, or some other, you know, other ways to convince people to go and buy? I mean, nobody buys music anymore, but to listen to the music online or whatever. There has to be kind of other ways of directing. I guess the question is, where are you making the money, and then how do you direct people to the ways that you will make? I think that's kind of it. I don't have an answer here either. You know?
I like those as like exactly, like I like those as like problems to solve. You know, like I always think about it in that sense. Like if there is a challenge that I'm up against, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, what are my options given that situation? Like, if we are in that space right now where we don't, like, for example, you said people aren't buying music. Like, is it even worth it to go ahead and like press a vinyl record anymore. I think it is because I'm obsessed with vinyl records, but
Right.
not everyone else is. But then again, I think about it, like the world is gonna go on to have like 10 billion people in it by 2025, like if all goes well or better, at least, like, and maybe not, like maybe the overpopulation thing is a separate topic, but what I'm saying is like an estimate 10 billion people, there are enough people that'll buy your record. Like people, I feel like I feel like people don't look at like how much of a resource there is like on this planet. I'm not trying to be like the coolest person on the planet, like when it comes to like making this music the way I make it. I just want to be the coolest in my room.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
But I mean,
that is enough. Like,
yeah, I mean, the tricky thing
and then
about
if I can share it with one person, sorry about that. I don't
no,
mean
go for it.
to interrupt, but like if I can share that with at least one person, I feel like that should be enough. But then again, like you can always, like, it's always the fight between like the ambitious ego and then like trying to live with a little bit of humility and understanding that like all of this is like shouldn't even be happening in the first place. Like it's a miracle in general. So like that's another balance.
What did you mean by the ambitious ego? Like, what do you're saying that you would want more success, or what are you saying?
Yeah, like for example, like I've been talking about this as of late. This is like a very recent thing that I've been talking about with homies. Like, is like, yeah, I want to win a Juno. Like
Right.
Shem G wants to win a Judy. Like I don't want a Grammy. I don't want a Polaris Prize. I want a Juno, and I want to host it.
You want to host the Junos? Okay, all right.
Yeah, I want to host the Junos in Montreal, and I want to win one. Like that's
Okay.
like it's a recent thing, but it's mostly a joke. But like if I'm 40 years old and I win a Juno, I'll be ecstatic.
Yeah.
Like I'll love that. Like even like if ever it were to happen, you know what I mean? Like I'd be ecstatic.
Yeah. Well, I think also like regardless of how people think about that, I think it's good to have a goal. Regardless of whether I'm not going to say it's unattainable, but like, it definitely seems like a long way away. You know what I mean? And that maybe that's why some people are giving you trouble for it or whatever. But I think it's good to have those kinds of goals. I'll, without getting into details, there was a band that I was in, and it was having some difficulties. It was having some difficulties. Anyway, it was having a great deal of success, but also some difficulties. And I shouldn't say a band I was in. It was just a band that I was playing with. But anyway, and at some point, we were talking about some stuff on the way to some gig somewhere, and I just said, "Well, what do you envision this band? Like, what are the gigs you envision this band doing? Like, do you think that the band as it is could actually do those gigs? And I said, like, for example, like, would you want to play SNL one day? Like, be the band that's invited to play at SNL, And then, like, do you have what it's not in terms of like popularity or whatever, but just like in terms of musical togetherness? Is it together enough to do that performance, or is it not? And then what do you have to do to make sure it is together enough? And I think it's not crazy to have those kinds of goals, not because you're like, well, we're going to book SNL next week or something. Like, that's not how that works, right? But it's just like, okay, so where are we, and is that the gig that we want, or what are the gigs that we want? And maybe that's not the gig that you want, and that's fine.
That's exactly where like the whole Juno thing stemmed from, because like when I was younger, like I went from not thinking that music could have been like a career in general to then being like, oh, I just want to play Jazz Fest. When I was like in high school, I was like, yo, playing Jazz Fest sounds like the craziest, coolest stage ever. And now I got to do it for like 3 years in a row. I'm like, yo, crazy. Yo, that's crazy to me. Like, you see how excited I'm getting like over that? Like, that's the same type of like, it's the same type of like, oh yeah, that's impossible, haha.
Right.
To like, oh snap, I could actually potentially do this, to it happening. And then like, you know what I mean? Like, so when I think about that stuff, it's really just like, is there a way to do it? Like, since I accomplished one goal, is there a way to accomplish a new fantasy crazy goal in my head? Yeah.
Well, I think it's also just important to have those goals, because otherwise we get I forget what the word is, but you get happy with where you are. Like, you don't move forward. And I'm obsessed with learning. Well, there you go. It's funny because one of the things I was
fun.
going to pull out, but I don't have it now, and it'll just take me too long to pull out. There was a photo of you.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say there was a photo of you and a friend waiting for Feist to perform that I was going to pull out because you made this weird face. But then, like, I think it was 2 years ago that Feist's drummer came to the Cypher. And
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, that's almost like a full circle kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Waiting for Feist to perform, and then, oh, the drummer is on stage with us now. Okay,
Shout out to drummers and keyboard players. Low key pull up to jams, like they pull up to the jams in the city. I don't know what these lead people and guitarists are doing. I know bassists are sleeping because they chill. But yeah, I that's what I've noticed. Is always a keyboard player and a drummer that's trying to jam.
That's interesting because at Cypher, at least, like, there's almost never keyboardists that come. Although now it's a little bit better, and sometimes there's keyboardists that come. But it's usually just like drummers and bassists, and it's just a million, But I don't know, whatever. That's it. Really is like a rhythm section type. Like, there's almost no horn players that come to Cypher ever.
Yeah. That's also a tough thing to get people like horns to come jam, because like jamming on a horn with mics is always strange, I feel.
That's true. I never really thought about that. Well, whatever. It's just because I've been playing through a mic for a long time now. But it's true that, like, if I'm thinking of back,
a clip mic too.
I got my whole weird. Yeah, I got my whole weird setup. But it's like, for the longest time, going to jams, there was no mics or anything. It's a jazz jam session, an acoustic, or even a rock setting, and it's just like, you just tried to play freaking loud. That was just kind of the way it was. So it's true that all that stuff is kind of a new world. But anyway, whatever. I'm kind of digressing.
Yeah, let's go through some more questions from the folks, if there are any. I'd love to see if you have any more Instagram or the peoples out there. Like,
oh yes, I do have one that is actually critical. I actually really want to know the answer to this question. So I'm going to pull this up. This is actually the last of the Instagram questions. And I'll also mention that, again, if anybody tuned in right now would like to ask a question to the one and only Ramses, a.k.a. Yonf, a.k.a. many AKAs. If anybody wants to ask a question to Shem, please do throw it down in the comments, and we'll get it to him. So I'm just going to pull this up right now. Here is the next question from... Oh, wait. That's not the right one. Oh, don't worry. I'll put it on the right one. There we go. This is a question that actually I would like to know the answer to. And again, it's my wife asking this question. The question is, where is the best place to buy socks?
See, I'm actually in need of an answer to this question now, because I'm trying to escape from the fast fashion industry, and I also don't feel entirely comfortable buying secondhand socks.
Yeah, secondhand socks, that does not sound right at all.
So if anybody's running a Montreal local designer sock thing that's like ethically made and not too expensive, please hit me up. I will buy stuff from you.
There must be. I mean, there must be.
There's gotta be. Montreal is so dope for a whole bunch of this type of stuff. So I'm sure somebody's got it. And now that I think about it, I'm gonna start doing my research, and you're gonna start seeing me with some new sock game.
Yeah, I gotta say, I remember seeing. Man, Alex Ensemble always has some crazy merch and all kinds of stuff. And I remember seeing that they had socks made with the upside down maple leaf logo, and I was like, "Oh my, that's the dope ever." So anyway, they're on top of their merch game for sure.
Yeah. Shout out to the whole rap keb scene, man. I'm like, see, that's a whole like jump off with Yanef. Like, I'm like, should Yanef rap in French? Should I just like have Shem G rap in French sometimes? Like, cause I'm fully bilingual. I could figure it out. I'm just like, I have a track with a homie, like an international homie named Hendrik Valera, bounces through a couple different spots in the world, and that track is whole flip, English, French, back and forth, singing, rapping, doesn't matter. He's got, like, my homie Hendrik, it's got a saxophone solo in it. It's super fun. Yeah. To be considered.
Have you like freestyled and stuff in French, or is it like how? Because I've never heard you, or have I? I'm not even sure if I've heard you rap in
At
French.
the freestyle competitions, it sneaks out.
Yes, it does sneak out.
I've done it. I've done it at end of the week as well. It's like I mostly pull out the English, French, Keb stuff when it's in a competition setting, because it always is like, oh, he never raps in English, he never raps in French. How is he rapping in French right now? Like, oh, he speaks French too. I had no idea. Like, it's always a good whoa.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And it's one of those kind of tricks to keep for the competition, right? It's like, you know, you get through the first round, you don't say anything. Second round, the third round, you throw it in and look, what? You know, so it's a good trick. I remember one of the
it's like you were killing it the whole time, and now this.
One of the
next, he's gonna pull out his saxophone and give us a scat rap.
You absolutely should do that. You know, one of the first end of the weeks that I judged. Mike, actually, yes, it was one of the first, and that's where I met Mike Clay, and that's why I ended up asking him to host at Cypher and whatever. But one of those first ones, I think, you know, first round, or I don't remember when he pulled it out, but he pulled out a guitar, and then he started like, you know, singing, rapping, and all this, and I was just like, what the holy crap? You know, I didn't know that he had all these skills, and it really laid an impression. And I mean, he's also an incredible freestyle, incredible rapper, and whatever. So he ended up winning that one. But you should totally pull out an instrument and
pulling out something like that, man. A little surprise factor. Again, shouts to Mike Clay on that. In the game as always.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yo, wow. You got the finale edition. Sorry, I just looked over at the screen and saw you have the finale edition of the end of the week.
Right there.
Damn.
There he is.
What year? I forget what year. It was like 2 years ago?
It doesn't have a date on it. Unfortunately, I don't really know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, 2018. 2018. It says it right in the corner.
2018. Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah, September 2018. Crazy.
Yeah. So I know we're running out of time. I don't want to mess up your whole schedule.
Yeah, we could go with some final round questions and some end off messages if you want to do that. 10:45.
Yeah. Did you want to get into that technical stuff with the pockets, or I can ask you some questions? It's whatever you like, honestly.
Actually, what I want to do, I want to make sure I make this public. In Montreal, well, I mean, there's definitely someone doing this in Montreal. That's not me. But I want to be the one to publicly popularize the pocket operators by Teenage Engineering. I've got 4 of them. They're little like beat making calculators, and I love them to pieces. And I probably can't sync them to the sound right now because Skype only takes 1 channel from what I remember. But let's see if I can like get all 4 of them to make noise at the same time, and I'll just put it next to the mic.
There we go. That works. What are these called again?
They're called pocket operators. So some of them are like subharmonic synthesizers. Some of them are just like little doohickeys that make sounds like this.
Nice.
Yeah, and like essentially you can make tracks and you can sync them together. And yeah, this one's a Rick and Morty version.
Nice.
Lots of different and the whole idea right now is that I got this little battery operated mixer that you can go directly into phones to, and like I want to make a whole bunch of like pocket operator jams with boom boxes, and I want anyone that's got one to pull up and sync in, and let's make a thing, you know? Anybody, like there are 9 different types or something like that. I've already got Hard Body, Shane.
Damn. We just lost you again. Are you there? Shem, some connectivity issues. 1 2. 1 2. Unfortunately, we're having some issues again. I'm looking into it. It does not appear to be on my side. Sorry to say. To if he can try messaging. Happening. Hopefully, I'll be able to reconnect. Oh, we really lost it. Try to reconnect to him. Okay,
hello.
We got Shem back. We got Shem back.
Yes.
That was a total disconnection there. I'm sorry. Yeah, we
No,
you were
cool.
just saying about the pocket pocket
operators
getting people in the park to do stuff.
Yeah, I already got Hard Body Jones on the cut. I got Shane on drums on the cut. Got Silent J. I'm trying to get anybody who wants to get this. You don't have to, obviously. I don't suggest anyone gets anything if they don't want to. It's like this is just something I find really fun, and I think like it's a cool thing that I can do with a bunch of friends. So yeah,
and
pocket operators.
How much is one of those?
They range. Some of them are like 50. Some of them are 150. It depends on which one. Like for example, this one here is called the Knockout, and this one has like 120 seconds of sampling and like drum synthesizing and like sample synthesis. It's a great time.
I think it's amazing that these kinds of what appears to be a toy have been making a resurgence, but like really hardcore, like good quality stuff. Like yeah,
in my brain when I was watching this video with I think it was like Herbie Hancock at like QMI, like just playing with like all these like old crazy synths, well old now, and they were like, oh yeah, this is the future, and I'm sitting here like, yo, that whole room is around my neck now with these things. It's crazy. I have my phone and these, and I could just like do anything. It's
really I like there's the whole Yamaha Reface series, which are really cool. They're like digital reimaginings of some classic keyboards. And then there's also actually you should reach out to
I have one, not like the Yamaha Reface, but I have a Korg Monotron.
I know the Mono.
It's like a like a ribbon synth, like super tiny handheld.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like all this little like tiny portable studio stuff is what I'm really into. Like I'm gonna get a Zoom eventually, and portable beat making, beat studios in a bag, stuff like that.
Studio in a bag, exactly. I definitely think that's kind of more or less the future. I mean, if we're talking about going from big giant studios to home studios, own studios, I think it makes total sense that it's going to go that way. You should also reach out to DJ Overflow. He's got a battery-powered turntable set up.
Ooh.
Yeah. So the way that we met, by the way, Overflow is going to be our interview subject, I think the last Thursday of the month, and next week we got Anomaly, which should also
big
be
shout out.
Super
big
fun.
Shout out to both of them, Anomaly and Overflow.
Yeah.
Overflow, every time he sees me, plays a chaos track just for my sweet little heart, and
that's it.
And yeah, I just gotta show mad respect to the DJs in Montreal. I know we talked about Mark, Killajoule, gotta, Dr. Mad, Wallopy. It could go. I could get again. I don't want to start name dropping because it'll last forever. I love too many people in this city. So,
what was I gonna say about that? Just going to say that I know that Anomaly has done some stuff with some battery-powered keyboards. And yeah, the way that I met Overflow was we were doing one of the hip-hop parades. I think it was like 2-ish years ago. I just remember it ended up in Parc La Fontaine. And I believe they'd contacted us in advance and whatever. But anyway, at the end of it, they were there like scratching like a couple of people, actually. I think it might have been
like a Sunday scratch session with the homies, and
like I think it was somebody else from Sunday Scratch Sessions along with Overflow, and then we sort of connected. And Overflow is watching the stream, and he said, "I do have my portable." So so you should definitely get Overflow involved in that. Anyway, I think that's how we
scratch my records.
Yeah, that's it. So but anyway, I think it's really cool that that's becoming more and more portable solutions are becoming standard.
Okay, what about you, Vincent? I know we know each other like on a pretty personal level, I'd say at this point. And I want to know what you want to know. Like the show's over now, folks, okay? We're still live streaming. We're still live streaming, but we're here and we're getting the deep cut with Shem G, aka Shamar Gordon, aka Ramses. I want to know what you want to know.
About life? About what?
Yeah, I want your burning question. Like, what's the thing like in the base of your gut that you're like, yo, I gotta know this about Shem. I've always wondered and I've never gotten the answer, and only Shem can tell me. And I'm gonna think of a similar question for you.
You know what? Let me reflect on this. I wanna have a good question, in the sense of, I mean,
trying to get you to embarrass me.
No, it's not. I mean, I could pull out some whatever, but who cares? I like what? That's a good. What would be okay? What is my burning question for Shem? Actually, you know what? It's not music related. You're about to go into your night shift. How has this whole COVID situation, what is your take on the whole COVID situation?
My take on the whole situation, like I can only speak individual, right? Like I don't like when it comes to like anything conspiracy theory wise, or like what like the news says or anything like that. Like I don't like I don't have all the answers, but what I do know is that like there is stuff that works, like washing your hands, and like like washing your hands works, period. Like we've been doing it for years, washing our hands and wearing all the protective gear. I haven't gotten sick yet, thankfully. My mom, she works at a hospital full time, double shifts. Like she hasn't gotten sick yet either. So I'm just thankful for that. Really. I can't wait for the opportunity to perform live again. That's the deepest way it's affected my life. Yeah, aside from that, like I really just hope for the best for everybody. I always like the optimistic way I look at it oftentimes is that there are good things to come out of this. Like for example, the examples of people focusing on getting their stuff together, the amount of like car traffic and car accidents that have reduced since everyone was locked down, and air traffic accidents, you know, like our lives saved technically, as much as it's tragic that there are so many lives lost, you know. So like I try to balance it in my head that way. And yeah, I'm just very willing to to get back out into the world and perform, and that's the only thing stopping me from doing so. So I, like everyone else, would like it to end.
Right. And do you have any particular thoughts on like the path to it ending, or I don't know, or do you get frustrated when you see certain types of behaviors, or no, or not, or I don't know?
I get frustrated when I hear complaints. That's my biggest complaint. I know that sounds strange, but like I think the worst thing to deal with as like someone in healthcare is just someone complaining about the situation. Well, like, don't get me wrong, it's totally normal because it's not fun and that's what people do, but like everyone in that building is going through some shit. Everyone on this planet is going through some shit, you know what I mean? But like especially in that bit, like that's a center for shit going down. So if you pull up with some negativity and like and you're always like you're trying to make the situation worse, like bro, everyone in this place is trying to make stuff better and you're in here making stuff worse. This is not the place you should be at right now, or you need to reconsider how you want to treat people around here right now, you know. Like that's how I feel about it.
I mean, obviously everyone is in higher level of stress and mental stress and so on, and I'm
empathetic to that, you know, like that's why I can't complain about it, but that is definitely like the worst part of it. Like it's just people making things worse for a situation that's already pretty bad.
Yeah, I agree with that. There was when the most recent directive towards wearing masks in public came out, the most recent one, there was a friend of mine that said, I'm very happy that this is coming into effect, but I'm also afraid about all the I guess the term is virtue signaling or whatever. Basically, people are like, oh, you're not wearing a mask, and masks don't work, or masks work, and you. It's like, man, oh God, like we don't need this on top of everything else we're dealing with. Like, and I feel them. They were basically saying like, I don't even care that I agree with this. I don't even care that I agree with it. I'm really like dreading the whole social side of that,
implications of it, and that's exactly what I mean. Like the increase of like, it doesn't even have to just be in the hospital, the streets as well, in the metro and all that. Like anywhere you go, it's just increase of negativity during this increased time of stress is not what we need right now.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm
like some realistic optimism. I'm super down with.
I'm on board with that as well.
So I'm gonna ask you a last question since I've got literally 4 minutes now. Okay.
All right.
Let's do this last 4 minutes of the show before we outro. I literally just want to know. This is a music related question. This is going back to the origins of who I am, like as a saxophone player. Since I just got the Barry sax, I want to know from you, since you're Mr. Sax Guru Hip Hop Montreal.
Okay.
Yeah, I really want to know. I want to see if you agree with this as a theory for how I'm going to be shedding for the next couple months. Okay. I think that all I really need to mostly, at most, not at most, but what I mostly need to shed above anything else is just do mad scales in modes and arpeggios, bro.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. So I guess your question is,
what's the most key thing that I need to know as a saxophone player besides scales, maybe, that like when I pull up the Cypher, it's like, yo, oh, man, dude, this is dope because he knows what to do with this thing.
Right. You know what? Okay, I'm not trying to reduce this question in any way. However, it reminds me of a question that was asked in a masterclass that I was at many years ago, and the person asked, I forget the name of the person giving the clinic, but anyway, they asked them like, is there one like exercise that really helped you to, get to this level of mastery or whatever? And the person, the person giving the clinic just looked at them and said, "That's a fucking stupid question." And again, I'm not trying to diminish your question at all.
No. Because I love that type of thing, though, because there is no technical right answer to that.
Well, that's it. Because he was he said, the answer is you practice 28 hours a day. That's the answer, So, so the short version, or the more polite version of that, is there is no magic bullet. That's for sure, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, in terms of like of course, yes, practice your scales. Of course, practice your arpeggios. Yes, all of that stuff.
Fundamentals in general, fundamentals and rudiments, of course. But maybe I oversimplified my question.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I think it's
mad scales.
It just reminded me of that. I'm not trying to shit all over your question or anything like that. So this one of the things that I do with a lot of my students when they come to sort of a certain point, let's say late beginner or intermediate kind of students, is I try to sit down with them and I say okay, what are the kind of categories of you're going to do this, not me, but tell me what are the categories of things that you need to work on in general, and then let's fit the different exercises that fit in those categories, and then let's work on the ones that you actually have the most difficulty with. So what I mean, for example, is let's say
sorry to interrupt.
No, go for it.
Just if I can simplify what you just said, it's just developing kind of a perfect practice based on your individual setup for your playing, right?
Yes, and also as you're doing that, you're going to realize there's definitely a lot of stuff that is just of course, everyone has to do this, in the sense of for example, saxophone, you might say technique in terms of my finger stuff, you know what I mean?
Breath work,
you might be talking about, exactly, you might be talking about tone, you might be talking about maybe tone and articulation you can put in one category or something, then you might talk about theory and knowing the right scales and harmony and all this, so and then maybe sight reading is not, you might come up with like a category of like 6 different categories, like general categories,
like DIY art school type thing.
Absolutely, and then
build your own
you start putting in
prospectus.
you start putting your things in there, and then maybe, for example, scales that would fit under both like technique and theory, right? So you could be like, okay, so today I did scales and I did long tones, so I covered technique, theory, and like my sound production. I didn't work on my reading. You know what I mean? Because you know that you didn't do that. And then the next day, you'll do some, I don't know, classical etudes or some Charlie Parker transcriptions or whatever. And then you're like, okay, that worked on my reading, but it also worked on my technique. Because it was, you know what I mean? So you kind of keep track of the greater
and I
category.
focused mad on my staccatos that day.
So, but I will say that one thing that especially multi-instrumentalists tend to not focus on enough on the saxophone is sound production. Because at the end of the day, that's like the thing that is, I think for most people, not the most interesting thing, because there's a lot of just like long tones and overtone series and all that kind of boring work, but it really, really makes a difference. It's like if you want to be a great basketball player and you're like, oh, now I got to hit the gym. Now I got to do bicep curls and squats. Like it's not fun. It's not basketball. You know it's going to make your game better, so
exactly. Okay, I feel that I appreciate that answer, because I'm always in the process of like trying to do just that, exactly, like figure out where I'm lacking, figure out what I already know and how I can improve on it, and then like again, DIY art school.
The book. Yeah.
I'm running out of pages in this thing, yo.
Well,
I'm scary.
I'm a big believer in taking notes. Like I'm constantly writing notes to myself on my phone of like, oh,
Trust,
do this, do this, do this.
I've got a whole notebook graveyard over here, yo. It's there are a lot of old bars that y'all might hear one day, I'm not the type to be that scared, but I'm a little scared of exposing myself. That being said, I'm going to stop exposing myself. I want to thank you for setting this up. I want to thank Montreal and the beautiful community we got in hip hop. Yo, keep fighting the good fight. We're out here working hard, trying to get all of the world to stop being so much on fire. So,
yes. Yeah. Thank you enormously for being on the podcast. I don't know what this is. The show.
I was gonna say the podcast, but it's the process.
I don't know what I was gonna on the process. Yes, the hashtag the process.
The process podcast.
Exactly. Whoops, I kind of switched to the wrong view here. Anyway, sorry. Thank you so much for being there, and have a great shift. I hope you get save some lives, and
hopefully you'll get a nap somewhere in there.
Well, that's the other thing. The constant night shift, day shift.
I've got time to sleep on the metro. That's all. Don't forget to wear your masks, folks. Make sure that you don't come visit me at work. That's literally the goal here. Just don't come see me at work. Come see me at my other job. My other job's super cool. I play music. It's a fun time.
Yeah.
We sometimes we drink. It's not open yet, but when it's open, come check us out,
And the other way to put it is like, if you want those things to come back, then wear a mask.
Don't go to my first job.
Yeah, exactly. Don't end up at his first job, but do wear a mask. Wash your hands. Take preventative measures with regards to contamination. Avoid contamination. Right. The world is lava.
Costs.
Yeah, the world is lava.
Don't even touch the floor, yo. You got to be like Zenyatta and experience tranquility. Stay home if you can. You know what I mean? Like, wear the mask, wash your hands. Wash your hands.
That's
like,
it.
Yo, like, you brush your teeth, don't you? Oh, you don't? You should do that too. Damn.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, Shem, for being our wonderful guest.
It was a great time. Thank you so much for having me here for 2 hours, embarrassing myself, and also talking great about music, yo. It's a good time to be a part of this. I wanna do this whole Montreal music thing for as long as possible. So let's get it.
Let's get it. Thank you, Shem. Next week, our guest is Anomaly, I believe, and the week after that, our guest is Overflow. I could be misremembering this, but I hope that's correct. Again, thank you to everyone who's been listening in.
Yo, and actually, since Anomaly is next week, I'm watching you. I want a beat from you, Anomaly. I was there at your first show backstage. We had a beer. We were friends. Anything. Give me the beat you hate the most. I really don't mind.
Wait,
like
you were at
just-
Anomaly's first show?
heck yeah.
At
Phi
Les
Center?
Bobards? What's
no,
that?
No. The launch. The launch
Oh.
at Phi Center for the EP.
Okay,
for the
okay.
Metropole EP, the first Metropole EP.
Right.
Yeah, that was like, remember, like it was at the time Blurry was closing.
Right.
So much crying happened that night.
Mm. Anyway, I will pass the message along.
Pass the message along. Take care, y'all. Keep rocking, Montreal.
So yes, next week we've got Anomaly, and then after that we've got is it still working? Yes, it is. And then next week we've got the week after that we've got Overflow. Thanks for listening in. This is the process. And
I'm still here,
we'll
just hiding my face.
We'll see you next time. Shem, have a great shift, and it's been a pleasure
Thank you all
catching up
again.
with
I love you all, yo. See y'all when we can see each other. Otherwise, yo, the video stuff is working for now.
All right, good night, y'all. Have a good one.